Nu är det dags för nästa företagspresentation och den kommer vara på engelska, så då kan vi alla öva upp vår skolengelska och det är Immunicum och deras vd Carlos De Sousa. Välkommen.
Thank you. God morgon. Good morning. So thank you for being here this morning. I would like to introduce you to Immunicum and also tell you a little bit more about the fundraising that we are doing at the moment. As a matter of fact, today we initiate the subscription period for our capital raise. So what is Immunicum? Immunicum is a company that operates in the field of immuno-oncology. Immuno-oncology is a very innovative part of science medicine now, where we use the patient's own immune system to attack and kill the tumor cells. Is today the most fast in development, the most innovative, and also the fastest growing in terms of commercial potential. We are, as you know, we are listed in the Stockholm Nasdaq main market since January, and I need to show you this. As a company, we have 3 projects in our pipeline. 2 projects in preclinical, IMM2 and IMM3, but I'm going to spend most of my time talking to you about our main project, Ilixadencel, that is off-the-shelf cancer immune primer. Our first study that you see there is quite advanced. As a company, we are already in phase 2. We finish enrollment of these patients in January. So this study here, the renal cell carcinoma study, we'll read in less than 12 months. We will have the results, the top-line results of this phase 2. We also finished last year another study in liver cancer, phase 1/2, and it's submitted for publication. So we are in the process of discussing with a medical journal. We have a small project in collaboration with the Karolinska Institute in orphan disease. And now we are starting this year. It's going to start first in the US. We already received the green light from the regulatory authorities, the FDA in the US, to initiate a study. And we are now waiting for the first patient to still be enrolled before the end of the year. And this is a big study that is going to be in very important and big tumors, lung cancer, stomach cancer, head and neck cancer, in combination with what's becoming today the more standard of care checkpoint inhibitors. And I will be discussing now a little bit more in detail about all this. So, you know, how does the cancer operate in the body? You know, this is a very well-known image called the cancer immunity cycle. What you see here is, think about this is the cancer. The cancer cells are very smart cells. They create defenses against the patient's own immune system. So on this side of the cycle, you have several classes of drugs already established. And these classes of drugs, they block these defenses that the cancer cells have against the patient immune cells. The problem, and the reason why they are not the most efficacious ones, even at the moment, is because if the tumor is what it's called a cold tumor, if you don't have a lot of immune cells present on the site of the tumor, it really doesn't matter if you block the defenses. You need another class of drugs that activate the patient's own immune systems. That's where we operate, over there on your left side. I normally use the analogy, the example of thinking about a tumor as a fortress, as a castle. So it's there behind the walls, very well protected, you know, it resists all the attacks. So here you have in blue, these are the immune cells present, so very few troops. That class of checkpoint inhibitors, they destroy the entrance, the gate into the castle. But if your troops are very weak or in small number, it really doesn't matter. So you need a bigger army, a stronger army that then can go through the gate and destroy the castle. destroys the castle and also the small fortresses that you have along the body that are the metastases. Because as you know, the big problem with cancer is that it's not just the primary cancer, but also the metastases that are created spread through the body. So we make this army stronger. So these are all the cells from the patient. And one of the reasons why ilixadencel is quite safe, basically the side effects is fever that we treat with paracetamol, because the activity that in the cells that are going to kill the tumor cells are the patient's own immune cells. But how do we get to ilixadencel? And you see here a lot of key innovations and differentiations to other cell-based products. The first thing is that our cells that you see here in the vial in reality is a 1 milliliter, are originated from healthy donors. So these are like blood donors. It's just instead of giving the whole blood, they give the cells. So these cells then are activated with a cocktail, and when they become known as very pro-inflammatory, think about it, although we are not a vaccine, think about it as the mechanism of a vaccine. When you inject, you create inflammation, you know, it's swollen, it's red. That's an inflammatory process. So that's what we create in the site of the tumor. The big innovation about our product is from one donor, we take about 100 vials. So we treat up to 50 patients just from one donor. And the cells, after they are prepared, they are frozen. So they can see it in the hospital pharmacy. We already passed 3-year shelf life. So this means that these cells can sit there in the hospital pharmacy for 1, 2 years, 3 years, and they are still ready to be administered when needed. And this is very important because the patients need these treatments whenever it's needed. So it's not very complicated to then administer. So very important differentiation. Off the shelf and allogeneic, the fact that it's from healthy donors. So what we do, you know, you pick up on that little vial, you put it in a bath of 37 degrees, and then you take the cells and then you inject the cells into the tumor. You can inject the primary tumor or the metastasis. It doesn't matter, you just need to inject one of them. And basically, you know, in a simple way, when you inject, you are going to cause this inflammatory response. You are going to recruit the patient's own immune cells to the site of the injection, that is the tumor. These cells are activated. As I show you, they kill the tumor cells there just to release what we call, is like a barcode, identifies the tumor in that patient, and then educates these patient own T cells, the killer T cells. And these cells then go spread through the whole body and kill the tumor cells whenever they are, can be in the primary tumor or the metastasis. So it's a real complex area, but when you think about it, it's relatively simple. Basically, we activate the patient's own immune system, so that is the patient immune system that kills the tumor cells, and wherever they are in the body. So let me show you the first study already finished years ago. This was in kidney cancer. This is the result of what you see after the treatment. These dark black spots are these killer T cells. You see very few on the site of the tumor because the tumor has these defenses. These are all from one of the same patient from one of the studies. See, these are the cells that then came to the site, to the place of the tumor, and very heavy concentrated. These are the cells that then are going to kill the tumor cells, also in the metastases that were in other locations. So very tumor specific. And in January, we still had, out of 11 patients, 3 patients were still alive in the study, passing already the 5-year survival. The normal survival for these patients treated with the standard of care is about 15 to 16 months. So in the study, we achieved 4 years. And again, as I mentioned, 3 patients are still alive. One of them is this patient. he had liver metastasis, lung metastasis, then he developed 4 brain metastases. So he was in a very poor condition, expected to survive 6 months. Anyway, he was treated with the standard of care and with our cells, and the brain metastasis disappear. The liver metastasis disappeared. He had 1 small lung metastasis that was removed. As a matter of fact, we were very happy because, by surprise, he joined us recently at an investor meeting that we organized. So, in reality, he is still alive 66 months after a diagnosis. And he drove for 3 hours to come to the presentation. So it was very rewarding to see the impact. And you know, again, this patient was expected to survive for only 6 months. So it's one case, but just to show the power when you combine these different classes of drugs with different mechanisms, that you get this synergistic effect. So this was a very important study, but then of course we needed to do it in more patients. We only had 11. So we then initiated some years ago the Mareka study, that is this one here. Again, also in kidney cancer patients, but this time with 88 patients. So, and in combination. So we have 58 patients combine Sutent plus ilixadencel, that is our cells, versus Sutent alone, that is the standard of care. So this way we can compare the differences between control arms. And as I mentioned to you, we finish enrollment in January. It's an 18 months follow-up. We expect to announce the top-line results 3rd quarter next year. So this is a very important study because it's the first one where we have this bigger number of patients, and a lot of the companies we are talking to for potential collaborations are waiting for these results. But now the big one that we are starting, it's called Iliad. The first phase is a phase 1b. We are going to have 21 patients enrolled in this phase, with both head and neck, lung, and stomach cancer, in combination with Keytruda, that is a drug already approved in the US. And this will give us very important information about the safety of combining, but also potential initial indications of efficacy. We'll move then to phase 2, where these 3 indications is like 3 studies running in parallel. And we announced very recently a collaboration with Pfizer and Merck Serono in Germany, where they will supply us for free the checkpoint inhibitor, avelumab. And this will allow us to run the study not only in the US, where these class of drugs are already approved, but also in Europe, because in Europe they are not yet reimbursed. But with this collaboration agreement, we are able to then expand the number of studies to Europe, what of course is going to be very important. We also continue showing very exciting results in combinations with other classes, and our founder and chief scientific officer just presented recently a poster at European Society of Medical Oncology. As you can see, again, this class of drugs is expected to reach 76 billion worldwide in just about 4 years. Most of the big pharma companies have the classes of drugs that block the defenses, so they have been now acquiring, very recent already this year, companies with drugs that operate on the other side. Merck bought a company in Australia for $400 million. J&J, Johnson & Johnson, just recently $1 billion for a company in Germany, and $3 billion of a deal between Bristol Myers and Nektar. So a very active field for looking for these classes of drugs. As I mentioned to you, we are now in the process of raising funds. We already announced it. We are going to raise 351 million SEK. The majority of that, more than half, was secured 178 through institutional investors. And here we have the fourth AP fund, second AP fund, Gladiator, Nordic Cross, Alfredberg, Adrigo, very big institutions. And basically, you know, the rationale for them to invest is because as a company we have been delivering on everything that we have been promising the market, and they see the very upside potential for investment in the short period of time, as we are going to have the state in less than 1 year. So in addition, we have fully guaranteed 173 million SEK. As I mentioned, we start today and until the December 10th, the subscription period. So that's now where we are all participating. I can tell that myself and all the management team is going to participate in the subscription period as you know, and utilize our subscription rights. So as a company and as an investment case, you know, we have now a very strong data. We have an innovative product. We are quite advanced, and in our clinical trials, we have now uplist in the main market. We have now secured a significant amount of money to help the company invest and deliver higher value to our shareholders. And of course, you know, one very important, very happy that to secure such a group, a strong group of institutional investors. And you know, we also are positioning ourselves really in this innovative field as a backbone, and we can be combined with drugs that are different classes of drugs that are in the hands of big pharma. So it's important to say that we are not going to be competing with the big pharmas. We are going to be used in combination with their products, so with a lot of potential. And with this, I would like to thank you, and now any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Let's start off with the fundraising. 351 million approximately. For how long will this new capital last? And yeah, and why are you taking in this capital right now?
Sure. One of the things that was important for these institutional investors and for us as a company is that basically we are funded through the period where we can deliver a series of big value inflection points. So this funding takes us towards the fourth quarter 2021. So we are going to have 3 years of funding and will allow the team, the management to really focus on delivering the value. This will take us next year. We are going to have the results of Mareka, so very, very potential big inflection point. The results of the small study in orphan indication. In 20, we are going to have the results of the phase 1B of the new study, so very important data too. And also, with this funding, we will be getting some of the initial results from the phase 2. So, you know, there's a lot of value coming. And the reason why we wanted to raise the money now is because, you know, we need to, this is a big study. Iliad has increased in size because we have been discussing with the regulatory authorities. So we want to continue funding that study, do more preclinical results because it's been very important to show the differentiation, but also another big use of the capital is in developing what is called a commercial manufacturing process. So we now have a very robust development process, but when you want to then move to pivotal studies, that are the studies that are going to be used for approval and commercialization, you need to use the product that is going to be the commercial one. So we want to initiate that as soon as possible. Basically, you know, the sooner we start, the sooner us or a partner can then initiate these pivotal studies, the sooner you can get to filing and approval, the more commercial period you know, exclusivity you have. So in terms of the return on this investment is very, very big, but needs to be done. And so we are also using a significant part of this capital raise for those activities that have a very big value.
Another way to get funds to life science companies also to have partnership with big pharma. How do you see on that point?
Well, you know, we like to be, as I say, you know, I was on the other side of the big pharma, precisely negotiating these kind of deals, and I always say that as a company we need to be prepared and have the best profile, the most valuable. So we have been talking with all of the big pharmas, quite honestly, for some time. It's part of the process. You need to keep them aware of what you are doing, and basically, you know, the big important data that they are waiting at the moment is for the results of the Mareka study that we're going to get next year. So we continue in regular, continuous talks with them. Every time we have new results, like the preclinical, we update them. We tell them what is going to be the new plan. Of course, now with this collaboration, we are in collaboration with two of the big pharmas, and so although there is no rights, you know, we maintain the full rights. The only thing that they supply us is with the drug for free. But of course, because we have a development committee, so we are in a much closer context already with two of these big pharmas for the Iliad study. So it's an activity that we need to do continuously, and basically we are preparing everything.
So Immunicum, and you hope to bring your product yourself to the market, if I understand right?
No, you know, I say that we need to do things like if we are going to do it, because a partner will also appreciate that. I give the example. We have great results on the Mareka, but then if a partner cannot initiate the pivotal studies because they don't have the product, then it's a loss of value. So they value this enormously. So that's why this investment in developing a commercial process is important. So, you know, at the moment we look for a collaboration before moving to these pivotal studies, because the potential of ilixadencel is very big. We can go into a lot of the solid tumors. You know, we selected these because these are very important, very big. You know, the checkpoint inhibitors by themselves has less than 20% efficacy, so we can make an impact, but we can go into several other types of tumors. So it will be a very expensive program. But you know, we are preparing everything that us or a partner can as soon as we have the results from Mareka, and if they are supportive, we can initiate these activities.
And let's talk a little bit about the regulatory risks. Do you have had any issues with the FDA or EMA, or do you have any concerns that for the future that they will have, they will give you issues regarding your studies?
You know, so far we have been in very close discussions with both the European authorities and the US authorities, the FDA. You know, this is Iliad is the second study that we are also doing involving patients in the US. We already, in Mareka, already had some patients in the US, so we have very close contacts with the authorities. They know our product. As a matter of fact, this year, beginning of the year, we received certification from the European authorities for quality of the data to produce the cells and for preclinical data. So, you know, it's a field that is very innovative, very new, but the authorities are really working closer to the companies because, again, it's an innovation field for everybody. So far, no problems, you know.
And interesting on a shareholder perspective is in the future commercialization of your products. How do one price these kind of products?
Look, you know, one of the big advantages that we have is our manufacturing process. You know, is not, of course, manufacturing tablets, but has no impact. The cost of goods of manufacturing has no impact on the margins. So these are you know, very expensive drugs. You know, most of the checkpoint inhibitors in the US cost under $50,000 per treatment for the treatment of a patient for 1 year. So we are not talking about that. So you know, we don't know what is going to be the future, but the good thing for us is that we have the flexibility because the cost of manufacturing our product is not so expensive that then it requires a huge price or very small margin. So from that part we are good.
Okej. Några frågor från publiken här som vi ställer till Carlos. Ska göra mitt bästa för att översätta dem också. Vi kan ta, eller där har vi en blå.
We, as a matter of fact, we have now more than 90 patients treated, and we already have quite a diverse type of data. With the kinase inhibitors, they are still, like Sutent, the studies, they are still standard of care. So we saw there some synergistic effect, and we expect to show now with 88 patients with the Maraca study. With gemcitabine, we had one patient in the liver cancer study that in reality didn't have liver cancer but bile duct cancer. And normally patients treated with gemcitabine survive for 11 months. This patient treated with ilixancel and gemcitabine, he ended up surviving for 41 months. So, it's another type of combination that we would like to explore. And now also with the checkpoint inhibitors. And one of the benefits, as I mentioned, that we have is you see good results in some of these combinations, but when you combine checkpoint inhibitors with chemotherapy, the side effect profile is quite heavy on the patients. A lot of patients cannot even tolerate the treatment. So one of our big advantages is that so far is with our excellent safety, if we continue showing, as we have so far, that basically we don't bring additional toxicity when we combine, this is going to have a very, very big value potential, because is the limitation in some of these current combinations is the toxicity. So that will be, even next year when you already start showing the results of the safety in the new study in combination with checkpoint inhibitors, if basically the patients in the combination have the same side effects as just checkpoint inhibitors alone, this is already very positive news. Mm. They are all very complex mechanisms, and depends on the types of cancers. That's one of the challenges of treating cancer is that it depends on the type of cancer, depends on the patient, how early is the diagnosis, how advanced. But one of the type of combinations that we can do, we have ideas, we just don't have the money to do all of them, is to combine, for instance, with in some cases with gemcitabine, in some specific types of cancer that, as a matter of fact, quite honestly, if we would get results there, this could be an accelerated approval. So we are looking now at ways of doing these special projects,
All right, and I have to stop you there because that's all the time we have.
Passed.
You have any more questions for Carlos? You can talk to him outside.
I'm just outside at the company corner. Thank you so much.
Och ni som sitter i webben, vi lämnar över till studion som har nya spännande gäster och sedan är vi tillbaka här 9:20 med Emota. Tack så mycket.